You buy a parrot expecting affection, but often face bites and aggressive screams instead. This frustration stems directly from human arrogance, misreading avian affection as mammalian obedience. If you want to decode the minds of these brilliant feathered dinosaurs, hit subscribe to join our flock right now. We are dismantling the toxic myths of captivity today. What your avian companion desperately craves is not dominance, but a highly specific biological language. There are 5 primal acts of love they require for survival, a secret sequence waiting to be unlocked. We humans are primates, and we navigate our social world through grasping, hugging, and physical dominance. When we bring a parrot into our homes, we project this exact mammalian framework onto an ancient avian dinosaur. We demand they accept our hands and submit to our will without hesitation. This is the anthropomorphic fallacy at its most toxic and destructive. Parrots diverged from our evolutionary tree hundreds of millions of years ago, thriving in a 3-dimensional canopy where vertical dominance is completely meaningless and forced physical contact often signifies a fatal predator attack. Their brains are wired for a completely different expression of deep connection. The first act of love they secretly desire from you is visual symmetry and the gift of unblinking trust. In a wild flock, predators stare with rigid, fixed intensity. Prey animals, like your parrot, use soft, slow eye movements to signal safety and relaxation. When you soften your gaze and slowly close your eyes in their presence, you're speaking directly to their avian pallium, instantly deactivating their fight or flight response. You're telling them they are safe. The second act of love is acoustic validation. In the wild, birds rely on complex contact calls to map the location and emotional state of their flock members across vast distances of dense foliage. When you leave the room and your bird screams, they're not acting out of malice or bad behavior. They are executing a primal survival algorithm, sending a desperate ping to their chosen mate to ensure you have not been killed by a predator. Answering them back with a soft, consistent whistle or a calm phrase provides massive psychological relief. You're actively completing the biological flock circuit. But if they require such precise visual and auditory feedback just to feel fundamentally safe, how do they process the physical architecture of our human homes? To fully understand their deepest desires, we must look at the wild flock operating under the bright, open sky. A parrot flock is definitely not a dictatorship governed by alpha wolves. It is a highly fluid, fiercely egalitarian society. Every single bird in that flock is an autonomous node communicating through complex consensus, never through coercion. They constantly negotiate foraging routes, danger avoidance, and resting spots through mutual agreement. Therefore, the third act of love they desperately crave from you is the complete autonomy of space. When we lock them in small enclosures and dictate exactly when they can step out, we violently violate their fundamental biological drive for personal agency. True avian love means designing a living environment where they can freely choose to retreat, choose to engage, and choose their own perch height without ever being physically forced or grabbed. Offering them a clear choice rather than issuing a blunt command honors their high neuronal density and deeply respects their egalitarian nature. This mutual respect leads directly to the fourth act of love, which is synchronized foraging. In a wild canopy, eating is the absolute ultimate communal activity. It signifies absolute safety and profound social bonding among all flock members. Simply dropping processed pellets into a metal bowl and walking away leaves your parrot feeling deeply socially isolated and incredibly vulnerable. They want to share the act of consumption with their equal partner, bringing them to the family dinner table, sharing fresh bird-safe vegetables, and eating simultaneously triggers a massive cascade of positive neurotransmitters in their complex brain. You're no longer just a biological caretaker providing basic sustenance. You're an active flock member participating in a sacred daily survival ritual. They watch you eat, and their mirror neurons fire vigorously, creating a deep, resonant bond that completely transcends mammalian and avian species barriers. This biological equality creates a profound harmony. But when this exact neural circuitry is isolated inside a modern living room with a single human, a breathtaking and terrifying psychological shift occurs regarding physical touch. Stripped completely of their wild flock, your parrot must urgently recalibrate its entire survival strategy. In the bright expanse of your home, you are drafted into a life-bonded partnership. You become the chosen mate, the singular symbiotic anchor for their fragile existence. This intense biological tether means your personal emotions, your daily stress levels, and your physical presence are relentlessly mirrored and internalized by the bird. Because they view you strictly as their equal mate, the fifth and most incredibly intimate act of love they require is tactile synchronization, specifically known as allopreening. Unlike domestic dogs that thoroughly enjoy vigorous petting across their entire bodies, parrots reserve physical touch exclusively for the head and neck area, and they only share this with their most trusted companion. When your parrot slowly bows its head, exposing the highly vulnerable nape of its neck to you, it is offering the absolute ultimate gesture of biological trust. They're specifically asking you to gently preen the hard-pin feathers they physically cannot reach themselves. Performing this delicate action with extreme gentleness, carefully rolling the keratin sheaths between your fingers with the precise movement of a beak, is a profound declaration of avian love. It drastically lowers their heart rate, perfectly regulates their nervous system, and permanently solidifies the primal contract between you two. However, touching them anywhere below the neck directly triggers complex reproductive hormones, totally confusing their biological programming and inevitably leading to severe behavioral frustration. True love, therefore, requires immense discipline on your part to interact with them exclusively as a fellow bird would in the canopy. Respecting this strict biological boundary translates evolutionary science in a beautiful daily empathy. You must stop commanding and start collaborating with this wild creature. When you finally realize that you are their entire emotional and physical ecosystem, the archaic illusion of ownership completely shatters, leaving only pure truth. Shedding the archaic title of master does not diminish your authority. Rather, it beautifully elevates your humanity. It requires profound humility to truly accept that a vibrant creature demands absolute equality from you. Yet, making this immense mental shift unlocks a pristine, wild friendship forged across tens of millions of years of canopy evolution. Providing these 5 acts of love entirely transforms you from a dictator into a trusted flock member. You are no longer a giant enforcing rules onto a captive animal. You are a bonded partner to a radiant piece of the ancient wild. If this evolutionary perspective reshaped how you understand the brilliant soul sharing your home, please share this video to help dismantle the toxic myths surrounding avian captivity. Hit that subscribe button to continue exploring the untold brilliance of the animal kingdom alongside our community. Before you fly off, drop a comment below sharing the exact moment you provided one of these acts of love and realize your parrot saw you as an equal.